mi pinto un pintura pa' mostrar che mi dà. Prima la tacchera di mi mesmita tassa. Cristoforo non dà sufficiente le guaya. Si t'arrivi al trono direbbe in dammi luca. Leg mi pinto un pintura pa' mostrar che mi dà. Prima la tacchera di mi mesmita tassa. Cristoforo non dà sufficiente le guaya. Si t'arrivi al trono direbbe in dammi luca. No. E in dammi luca no. Mi mostravo che mi danno.
Welcome guys to the OnBrand Podcast. This is a special episode that we're going to do in English. My name is Joim for those who don't know me.
My name is Angèle.
And today this is an episode especially for our non-Papiamento speakers. This little slap we got here.
Little bird, open your eyes, stop dreaming. I know you see.
This is called Take Flight by Levi Silvani.
Feel it deep inside, and you know it, but you won't.
I would say a very important ABC artist
How can a bird be scared
when it comes to positivity, mental health, and of course talent. This is called Take Flight.
By the way, the only way to
Enjoy.
know is just to try. So take flight. So take flight.
Take flight.
The way down is rather steep. Wounds get deep. All you are is all you need. You won't soar if you don't leap. Sowing you will reap. If you only keep on keeping on believing, having faith in the unseen. And I know life gets hard and it can get you down. Bruises stimulate open fear, but hope will make you persevere. Fight it, fear invites. Accept it in your heart that you are built to fly. And even though the time flies too, don't let it pass you by. By the way, the only way to know is just to try.
One more chorus, guys. Two.
So take flight. Trust your heart and fly.
You know when you watch a movie and like the girl just broke up with a guy, but he doesn't know why, and he's trying to figure out why it happened, and he's going through the journey of figuring it out.
That is not the scenario.
It's not the vibes?
No. No. This is when she's packing her bags to move away from home to pursue a career in
Same feeling though.
some else.
It does feel like a breakup. She's leaving.
Yeah, but a breakup is this. The lyrics say something else. Anyways, hi everyone. Special applause for Levi Silvani. Thank you for starting out the show this week.
My name is Joim, guys. What's up?
My name is Angèle. Thank you for joining us again for the podcast.
Yes.
Like I said, we wanted to try doing this in English. We've been hearing a lot of people that follow us on Instagram. Thank you for following us. That you would like to be able to follow the conversation and know what we're talking about. And on the main stage of the podcast, we usually talk in Paplish, which is Papiamento, and we mix in English words.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because we just have a lot of English lingo.
Yeah.
I would say. Papiamento is also a Creole language, so there's a lot of borrowed words. So it sounds like something else. But in case you're new here, we just wanted to give it a try by doing it in English this week.
Yes. Not only we wanted to give it a try because it's not something that we're gonna do often.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to do it sometimes, but not often.
Mm-hmm.
It is also a special episode because Angèle is going to speak a little bit more about her thesis and the importance actually of her research. But part of the importance of her research is checking in.
Yep.
Very important to check in. So we always like to start with asking our co-hosts and our audience, how are you doing? How's your mental health? How's your physical health? How's your spiritual health? And of course, how is your financial health? How are you doing, Angèle?
I'm doing well. I'm a bit nervous because one, I feel like it's way different if you speak in English. There's some parts of my mind that wants to switch back to Papiamento. That's one. But also the topic is quite personal, I would say, but also I feel like necessary. So I'm really curious about how the full episode is going to go. I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Okay. I'm fine. I'm also curious to see what the episode is going to look like, what the conversation is going to be like, and of course what the response is going to be like from our audience, that for the third maybe episode that they are able to understand. The ones who don't speak Pavimento are like, oh shoot, we can now understand what the
Yeah,
frick
yeah.
you are saying.
So please watch.
Please watch.
If you do, please
Yes,
watch.
and let us know if you want us to keep doing episodes
Yeah.
in English. We might hit you with the Dutch at some point. You never know with
Yeah.
us. But yes, I'm
That's
doing fine.
Yeah, okay, that's good to hear.
Okay, Angèle. So this episode is specifically about your thesis project and finalizing it, but also the importance of your research and why you think it is so pivotal when it comes to the ABC student living in the Dutch community and moving to the Netherlands to pursue ABC. See what I
That
did
is
there?
a mouthful, yeah.
Yes. See what I did there? Yeah.
I'll start with a little bit of backstory. I am finalizing my thesis in my study is called Trend Research and Concept Creation, and my role is in Impact and Transition Facilitator. And what I basically do is I plan interventions, such as this one, or I conduct workshops, presentations with the goal of being able to create some sort of impact or transition or set a transition in motion. And the topic that I chose for my thesis is how can we get more active participation and engagement from the Afro-Caribbean or like Dutch Caribbean youth living in the Netherlands.
Great. Very interesting.
I specifically chose this topic because I also am part of the demographic, but also because I know so many people in the demographic. So that makes it easier to do research because you already have a network of people around you. But what I've noticed is that a lot of the times that I go to a certain event or a certain presentation, workshops in the city or in the area that I live in, I'm usually the only person from either Curacao or from Aruba, like the Dutch Caribbean islands. And I wonder why that is. I don't live in Randstad, and I feel like there's a huge difference if I would have done the research there, as opposed to where I live, which is North Brabant. But yeah, I am doing the project for a organization called Studio North, which is located in Tilburg, and they work with youth that want to organize a event or an activity, and they offer guidance and financial aid in that. But I specifically wanted to focus on us, our people here, our people that moved here to continue to pursue their studies, pursue a career in the arts, or wanted to pursue a career in the arts and culture sector, but never did. So during the course of the research so far, I've been doing interviews, workshops, presentations with other stakeholders and organizations as well to see what their perspective is like, what their collective goal is, and what they want to achieve in the future.
Okay.
One thing I really focus on is really why is it necessary? What do I want to achieve?
Okay, thank you. That is a mouthful. I was going to ask a question, but
You may.
thank God you also allowed me to.
Talk a lot.
Sorry?
That I talk a lot?
No, not that you talk a lot. I was going to ask a question, but you ended it right where I would have wanted to end it so I can ask the question and pod, you know? So you said you did quite a few interventions like this, which what I understand is being able to talk and have an open dialogue about the topic, but also the necessary, the need actually for a research like this, but also the need to find some kind of path or a remedy to combat and somewhat build a space where this is less of a struggle as opposed to more of a challenge where you can actually meet your goals. You also said you conducted interviews to see what the peer group or what the demographic actually needs. If you were able to speak on what is the main need that you heard from the people themselves, it's not based on your empirical research or desk research, but from your peers that said, oh, I experienced this and I need this because of what I'm going through.
I did interviews, but I also did creative sessions. So what I'm going to answer that is based on all of those together. What I noticed a lot from people that I spoke to, that a lot of them are students or post-grad students that are working part-time while still trying to figure out what they want to do, is that how do you start? Where do you start? Where do you get the resources, information that you need in order to start? And it's not only the lack of resources or accessibility to certain things, it's also the internal pressures of how do I trust myself in being able to do that? Do I believe that I can do that? Am I good enough to do this? Those were the few things that I noticed a lot from the target group that they were experiencing from wanting to do something maybe with the arts, but never really being able to because of themselves or even external pressures like from parental expectations, from societal expectations, societal resistance as well. That comes a lot forward in those discussions. Have you, my question to you then, have you experienced sort of the resistance of I want to do A, but you decided to do B instead because of a need for security or a lack of confidence?
Interesting. I wouldn't say that I experienced a pressure or the need to do something else rather than what I actually did when it comes to my studies and what I pursued when I came to the Netherlands. I think it was never really a thing where I struggled with it. However, it could also be because I never thought it was an option for me. I think due to lack of representation to some extent, lack of information and knowledge. I think when you're exposed to certain information, it expands your ideas of what is within the realm of possibility. And I think that's the main reason. And so lack of knowing that that's possible, even, or lack of seeing it in my immediate surroundings, it never really was a thought for me. So I couldn't say I experienced it as a struggle. However, I'm also someone that is very risk averse. So I want to take a risk, but I want to protect my downside as much as possible. So what I always did is I always did what I needed to do, which is quote unquote get the degree, go to school, get the, be part of this institution or whatever. So when I decided to take the risk, quote unquote, whether that being music or podcasting, I already have my downside protected because I already have the piece of paper that would allow me to enter these rooms that are quote unquote very much a standardized structure, whether that being my legal background or whatever the generic 9 to 5 looks like. So that's how I experience it.
But like you say, the lack of knowledge and information, where does that start? Where would that should have started, or where should that have started for you?
I think you with the rise of globalization in our times, you have a lot of information, but it's always like, oh, the States. It's always like all these other communities that you're not part of. So you might see, acting is a thing. Yeah, you can paint and you can become Banksy or whatever, or you can become a renowned podcaster. But there's no one in my immediate family that has that and that has done something of sorts. They all kind of pursued this standardized, structured careers where they follow a 9 to 5. Even business owners, you don't see that much from the perspective of a creative. Although when I look back, I'm like, my mom is a creative because she's a graphic designer. But I never equated it to being a creative. I still equated it to, I need to work. You know what I'm saying? That's
Has she
kind of
ever encouraged you to do so?
No, I think my mom did expose me to some sort of creative background and definitely did her best of what she could do to encourage being knowledgeable or having some type of, getting your feet wet in multiple areas in life. But it was never like a thing where, you're talented enough, quote unquote, to do this, to be a speaker, to draw, to be a drummer full time, which is, follow music or whatever. But I don't think, I think it's one of those things where once you're exposed to something, the belief in yourself should also kick in for you to say, okay, then I'm going to be the one that's representing that within my immediate community, as opposed to saying, well, I'm exposed to it, but I can't see anyone that does it in my immediate community, so I'm not going to do it. So that's the level that I'm at right now. Okay, I'm exposed to this. Maybe I don't have that within my immediate community, but I believe in myself enough to not only have protected my downside and knowing that if it weren't never to happen for me, I could also fall back on it. But actually, my plan A is to be in the creative business and to exploit whatever talents I have to be that representation within my community.
Which I think can be quite hard because you don't have something to use as an example.
No,
You
you
are
have
the
to
one
become
that
the example.
Yeah, you have to become the example.
You're the blueprint.
You are the blueprint. How then? Because right now we're talking also about the systems that we're in. We can't really change that unless we really change something in ourselves that makes us make a different decision.
Right.
How is the system now in terms of the example, and how should the system be with an example? Does that make sense, my question?
How is the system now when it comes to representation and being an example, and how should it be? I think as much as DEI is like a thing nowadays,
Which is diversity,
equity,
and inclusion.
Yeah. I think that's one of the ways. But I think it's very difficult to say that you should be inclusive just for the sake of being inclusive. I think what is important is the person that has the qualifications to always get the job, right? They should always get the job. However, sometimes because of our implicit biases, it's very difficult for a person of a specific culture to choose a different culture before their own, right? So you might have cultures with, you have places where the same people are getting the opportunities because you're more inclined to give your own people a chance rather than other people. So that's where DEI and inclusivity plays a role, because you kind of have to force the integration and force the inclusion. So there's a diversified community of people within a space. So it starts there, but I think that could also like go past its goal, right? You can start doing stuff just to be inclusive or just to be diversified, and it's not about who can do the job anymore. It's about, for the sake of not being
Looks
canceled
and
or whatever, we got to do
appearance.
this. So
yeah.
it needs to be a balance between make sure the right people get the job based on their own capabilities and their own abilities, but also making sure it's a diversified space where representation is a thing, where other people from other spaces or people coming up can see themselves in a specific space, but at the same time making sure that the ultimate product, the end product, is still of quality. That it's a it could be a bit difficult, but I think that's the best way to go about it. It's never just only looking for the best people for the job, quote unquote, or only being inclusive or diversified. It needs to be both. And the good thing is we also have to make sure that within our communities we have and make sure we also make sure that our people are qualified for the jobs. That's important.
How do you? Because I don't think there's a specific checkbox on this is what the qualification should be for someone that is a example or advocate or ambassador, whatever the word you want to use. But what should we be looking at when it comes to people that are examples? Maybe certain characteristics or certain skill sets that should be thought of.
I would say the people I look at are people that understand their role, but people that are also truthful and vetted. You have to vet people. I think specifically in the creative world, creativity is very sporadic and creativity is very dynamic and like it flows from who you are as a person, right? And sometimes you have people that are that talented that they can get away with stuff. I think there needs to be a balance between people that are talented but also understand the role and their value and also their importance within that role. Because to whom much is given, much is required. With great power comes great responsibility. We need to have people that are qualified, that have put in the work, but also people that act accordingly. Not people that exploit their position or their role because they have a certain talent. And within the creative world, I think it's difficult because sometimes art comes from the most chaotic places, right? So the same person that made this great song about being toxic and is gushing out who they are about whatever went through their life, great, it's a song, and maybe you identify with it and you see the beauty in it. But if that person did or exercised that same amount, the same kind of actions in their own life, you would have a problem with it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there needs to be no, this person can make this beautiful art and find it in themselves for it to come from a real place, but also understand that in real life, I'm also a stand-up person. There needs to be some kind of, it's very difficult,
It's very difficult,
but it needs to be that. If for the sake of representation, we have to have those kind of people, because if we push them forward, we have to trust that you are capable and responsible for that role.
I think that also kind of brings in the conversation of separating the art from the artist. But
Right.
then when you said like, oh, then you need to check if the person stand up and what they this and this and that. I remember, I think it was either Cardi B or Sexy Red that was like, I'm not making music for your kids.
Yes, it's like when Charles Barkley said, "I'm not a role model."
No, because we say, oh, she's a great person to look up to, or he's a great person to look up to, but they never said they wanted to be looked up to.
No, right. But I don't think you have a choice in that.
No, but if a person like Cardi B says, I don't make music for kids, she's not an example.
Your intention is one thing, but the effect of your actions are a different thing. You can say with your chest that, oh, I don't intend to do this, but if your actions have a different result, then you're also responsible for that result. So yes, you don't make music for kids, but if kids are listening to your music, as a person that I expect you to also be cognizant of the fact that you have a certain effect on the kids. So the least you can do is make sure that you understand that and not only stand on your intention, because it clearly has a different result.
Yeah, but then
You're not their parent.
Yeah, I'm not their parent.
You're not.
It's not my responsibility to change my music or change how I am for the sake of the kids.
True. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But then me as a person, I can't see you as the person that I promote out there as someone that represents us properly. I can't.
I think that would be also asking so much from an artist when that's not their responsibility.
That's fine by me. I don't have a problem with that. But if you asked me who are the people that we should choose to represent ourselves, you're not going to be the one then. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
That's
then.
also fair.
It's fine. You don't have to be.
That's also fair.
We don't. There's a space for that kind of artistic expression, which we've all consumed here and there. But also, if you were asking me, who is the person if the aliens come here, who is the person we're gonna send to meet them? I'm not sending Cardi B.
Yeah, okay.
I might send Kendrick Lamar,
Yeah, okay.
for example. I'm not
Understand.
saying I will send him, but you're not the one. Then it's fine. You're not the one. Then that's really easy.
Yeah, okay. I understand. But in terms, if I go back now to us from Aruba, Bonaire, Corsol, Saba.
Saba is crazy.
Saba.
Oh wow, they're gonna kill you for this.
Sorry.
Saba is crazy.
Sorry, my people. But because I keep trying to say it in a different language.
No, it's Saba.
See, is it Saba in English as well?
It's not Saba, I can tell you that.
No. But do you say it's Saint Martin and or
Saint Martin.
Saint Martin
Saint Martin.
and Saint Eustatius and
Saint Eustatius.
okay, whatever he said.
They say Stacia, actually.
Stacia.
I think they say Stacia.
Okay. Us that come from those islands that move here to the Netherlands to pursue something in the arts and culture sector or wanted to, what can be implemented or put in place for us, by us maybe even, that could help us bring us forward?
Okay, I'm going to speak from the position of a person that is part of the group, and you're going to speak about what you are proposing in your research.
Okay.
I think the first thing will be exposure leading to expansion, meaning we should give our people more information on what is possible. Right? And I don't think giving the information of saying, oh, you can rap and make money on Spotify, that's not what it is. Because I think that's too far-fetched, right? Everybody wants to be a rapper. We don't need that many rappers. We don't. But what we do need is people in position within the music business that represent us properly. So maybe you're not going to be a rapper, but you could be a producer. Or maybe you could be a record exec. Or maybe you could be a talent manager. Maybe you could be an A&R. These are all jobs within the music industry that require a level of creativity and that also help the whole community build within that sector. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or maybe you're not the best artist, but maybe you are more business minded. Maybe it's time for you to open up a showcase where other artists are showcased. That way you're still within the sector, you're still helping people within the sector, but you're also playing to your own strengths, right? So I think information on what is possible and also being realistic with that information and what is possible is very important. And I think another thing I would say is platforms like our own,
Yeah.
right? Because we're creatives, we're pursuing our creative dreams, but also trying to build a business, but also navigating the Dutch culture and Dutch society and while still trying to be ourselves. You can literally see us on this podcast on a bi-weekly basis trying to figure it out. And that's not only information, that's showing you the journey. Because I can give you the information, but a lot of times people have to see what you're doing and not only hear what you're saying. So having a platform where you can see the growth, you can see the ups, you can see the downs, you can see the lessons, and you can see the L's, I think that's very important.
I think that also kind of touches on things that I had in the research that would help is like you said, exposure, because we don't know sometimes where to go to get certain informations or what to do in order to get further in something. Because like, for example, a few things that were coming up were financial aid. Where do you go to get money to do certain things?
Right, that's a good one.
Where do I go to get the right people to help me to make this project happen? Sometimes we don't have that network when we get here. We're building it as we go. And we can only know to like the right people by being put in situations or in events where the people are there. But sometimes you also need someone that introduces you to the right people. So it's having like a key person or a I called it also a key person that is part of the community that also has trust from both sides of the party. Because you have people from the target group, but then you also have the side from the organizations that that want to do something for the target group, but we don't want it to be fake. We don't want it to be inauthentic. We want it to be from like a true and honest place, and that can only happen if they have a true and genuine relationship with the target group. And that looks like needs assessment, like what does the people actually need, instead of just deciding, oh, this is what we're going to do for Ketikoti, for example. No, but that they want to do this, or for a different type of event or a different type of activity that happens. You need to know what the people want instead of just organizing something because you need to hit your inclusivity check of the year. So that's one, for
Inclusivity
example.
check of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So to round off, if someone didn't read your paper, didn't read your research, didn't go to your expo, what are 3 things that you would want them to know about your research and the importance of your research? You can pitch it to the people right now.
3 important things to know from my research is to get to know your target group, do needs assessment, and do target outreach. This is more from a organizational standpoint. If you really want to find out what the people want, and that also goes back to even if you have a business or you have an organization, figuring out by doing creative sessions, doing interviews, doing surveys, but also meeting with the people. I personally enjoy doing interviews and talking to people in person because you get to see them in real life, see their real life like reactions, how they behave, how they react to a certain way that you ask a question as well. And I also like a lot of mood boarding, brainstorming together, or like, let's put a question here. What do you think can come up from this question? That is one thing I think for sure. Second thing would be the exposure part. We need more workshops, we need more master classes, we need more places where we get to learn and play and make mistakes. I think as people that come from the islands, we already come with the expectation of, no, you come here and you do this study and you graduate, you get your diploma, which leaves little to no room for curiosity and play and figuring out actually what you want to do.
And error.
And error, because you don't have a lot of room for mistakes if everything costs money. So I think we would benefit from being able to explore and make those mistakes early on instead of later when you have that diploma and you're like, I hate to study. I don't want to do it. They leave us with so little choice up. Like we both did video. We had to choose from the third year from high school, which area you want to go in. And you're stuck with that up until you graduate high school. What if I changed during the first year that I made that decision?
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about that anymore. So we have to make mistakes early on to know what we want to do. Like getting no's is also a sign of what the yeses are. And I feel like we don't get enough room to do that here when we're here because there's so much more at risk. So we need like third places or platforms or communities or even like classes, workshops, places to learn. People that make programs cater to us in our language as well, where we get to be around people like us. And there you remove the barrier as well of having to explain yourself because you already feel comfortable.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3 would be, I guess, accessibility. A lot of the times things are just really far and really not easy to afford for people that are young and coming here to study. Accessibility is really important. Long distances are really hard to get to. If it's during the week, people go to school or people have to work. If it's in the weekend, people have to pay for travel, which also makes it harder to make that decision. I think if there's some way that we can make things, doesn't have to be free all the time, but like, for example, a masterclass. I wanted to attend a masterclass, but it cost like 300 euros, which a given because it's information, intangible information, tangible value.
It's not an amateur class, it's a master class.
But I don't have that money.
I ain't got it.
And it would have been great if I had the possibility to follow that at the beginning where it's accessible, maybe where it's with someone that I can look up to that looks like me and that it feels like I can reach that as well. Instead of that, I'm struggling to get to that when maybe that's not what the course of action will be because they have certain advantages already because they lived here or they grew up here.
Okay.
So those are the 3 points.
Those are the 3 points. Guys, thank you for listening.
Yeah. Before we round off, I would like you to pitch yourself as an artist, as a creative. We usually ask guests to do that.
Okay.
But I wanted you to do it because the conversation is about like being representation, being examples. I would like you to pitch yourself, what you do, who you are.
Okay, let me pitch myself with my own songs. What you talking about? Okay, guys. Well, my name is Joim. I make music. I'm also the co-creator, co-founder, and co-host of the OnBrand Podcast. My expertise is music for the most part. I'm very passionate about music, making music, listening to music. This is a song from my only and latest EP, Undertone, where it's about certain experiences in the past. So if you need help, if you need advice or even suggestions,
Or a conversation.
when it comes to your music and your creative process, hit me up. But also, I'm also an avid podcaster and creator when it comes to conversations and being able to produce this whole podcast. I'm the one that does the audio, I'm the one that does the video and editing. So that's also my expertise. If you need help with that, if you need OnBrand to produce your podcast or produce content for you, we definitely offer those services. And it's important for us to enhance the platforms that we already have, but also offer new platforms so there's more representation within the space. And my way of doing that is by means of music, but also podcasting. So, listen to this little slap that I got over here. Watch the podcast. And if it's something you're interested in, hit your boy up.
So with that, thank you for listening to this special edition of the podcast. We hope you like it. Let us know in the comments, in the DMs, everywhere. You can follow Dream at by Undertone. You can follow me at Anshkapr, which is in the bio as well, if you don't know
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm saying. Follow us on OnBrand on all the social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn if you're business to business, B2B. And in terms of this conversation, if you want to keep it going with me, you can follow Memoria Collective and start a conversation with me there. If you want to help as well, you're more than welcome to. I would love to keep the conversation going. So with that, we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for the information, Angèle. And we see you soon.
Bye.
When you call, I never hesitated. But every time I close the phone, you let me agitated.
Agitated.
Baby, I was down, I never had to.